I'm so happy you all joined us for Dial-In Devotion tonight. And here we are I told my husband the other day, I would like to say we're at the end of summer because it feels like school's about to start even back in a couple of weeks. It's like, okay, we're at the end of summer. And the heat is just so oppressive right now. And it's just like, no, we're not at the end of summer in South Texas. We might be in the middle of summer right now. So we have another 8 weeks left of hot weather before we even think of a cool front. I went into Hobby Lobby this past week and saw their fall stuff out. And I was just like, this is just not right. Put that stuff away. It's not time for it. But we do have school starting in a few weeks. And I have asked Sister Ashley Moss to talk to us about some staycations and some fun things that we can do with our families. I don't know about your family, but I know with my family that if there is something that we're going to do that's fun, usually I'm going to be the one that plans to do it. I don't know how it is with everybody else's family. But the guys don't tend to plan the fun things. They like to show up and have the fun. They'll go along with us, but typically they don't plan it. So we have to come up with the creativity and the ideas of how to make memories with our families. I know that one of the big challenges is, number one, time, and number two, money. And both of those are very precious resources. And I was telling our class the other day, when you have a lot of money or when you have ample money, you don't have time. But when you've got a lot of time, you very seldom have any money. So I don't know why it works that way. But Ashley's going to share with us tonight some ideas to make memories with our families. And that's whether you have young children or like me, my children are all grown, but we do have grandchildren. And so it's still good to make those memories and to plan them no matter what age your children are. It's good to make family memories. We had our family night tonight and we did make your own pizza and swim party for the kids in the backyard and homemade sorbet that Lori Kennedy, by the way, if you don't have a Tupperware sorbet maker, they are the bomb. I am in love with those things now. Anyway, so, it was a great memory for us. So we had a fun time, and it's not a late night, and we didn't spend a lot of money, and it was a great time. So Ashley's going to share some great ideas with us, and thank you, Ashley, for doing our Dial-In Devotion tonight.
Hi, everybody. I'm fortunate enough to teach this the other night in Marriage and Family Enrichment, and even just planning the lesson helped me kind of refresh what I need to do this summer with my kids as well. So hopefully it helps you. To make it somewhat feel spiritual, since it's called devotion, I do have a scripture. In Psalms 127:3, it says, "Children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from him." That scripture continues on in 127, and it said, "Blessed is the man whose quiver is full." I told Tyler, I hope he thinks 3 means a quiver full, because that's all the blessings he gets. But there are gifts, so that means we need to treat our families like gifts. I mentioned, or you think about it, if you ever have given somebody a gift before and they kind of toss it to the side, you buy them some clothing, they never wear it, your kids, or you buy them a house decoration and you've gone to their home and you've never seen it out. Not that, people have to have your gifts, but there's nothing like Christmas morning when your kids open their gifts and you see that one present that you thought they would love never gets touched. And imagine that's how God is with us. He's given us children, and so we need to treat them like rewards. And that does not mean pamper to their every need. I'll go over that in a minute, but it does mean we should have fun with our kids. They're not just something we toss to the side and keep in our house for 18 years until we can send off. Before I get into some staycation ideas, something I want to share with you is why memories are so important, why you need to do them. If you have grown kids, still you can, like Sister Claire was saying, you're going to have memories with your grown kids. And then once grandkids come, you're going to have even cooler memories with your grandkids than you probably did with your own kids. But you never stop making memories. And even if there's no kids in your life, if there's a friend or a significant other, your husband, your spouse, you want to make memories with them as well. So the first thing I think is important to teach your kids when you're making memories is they are each other's first friends. Okay, that doesn't mean they have to be best friends. You know, I am blessed because my sister is my best friend in the world. It doesn't work like that for everybody, and that's okay. But you should still be friends. In your home, you should still be friendly, because family memories won't be fun if you're doing these with your enemies. Okay, like you all know what it's like to get in a tense car together. If you're never having fun at home, it's not going to be fun when you're doing your little staycation things. Your family is your cheerleading group. They're your supporters. They're going to be proud of you. They're going to do all of that. So once that's established and you have a unified group, your memories will be way better than you can imagine. It's not going to be something that feels so forced. It's going to be somewhat enjoyable. And I think that your children's best memories should be formed in the family. It's okay for them to have memories outside of your family. Obviously, I had childhood memories with my friends, but I would be heartbroken if my kids grew up and they don't have any pleasant memories of their childhood. That would make me sad. I want them to remember their best memories be happening inside of our home, centered around family. Memories are important because they help us retell our history. If you look up any famous person, and for some reason when I say famous person, literally the only famous person I can think of is Abraham Lincoln. I don't know why that is. I'm racking my brain right now. I can't think of another example. Look him up, though, and I'm sure you can tell when he was born, his birthplace, his schooling, what he did during his presidency, any of that. But you're not going to find out what his favorite thing to do with his mom was, what his memory of his favorite trip with his family could have been. You're not going to know that, because those kind of things are only passed person to person. They're not usually written down and documented. I mean, keep a journal. All of that's necessary. But the most important thing is going to be sitting around and retelling those memories. One of my favorite childhood memories, and it's a silly one, was on Sunday nights, we used to drive through, I believe it was McDonald's, and my mom would pick up a bunch of hamburgers. We would go back to the house. She wouldn't get fries and drinks because we already had them at the house. Didn't realize that was to save money. I just thought, she was being resourceful. We already had them. Let's not buy extra. And we would go there and we would sit around as a family. It wasn't like everybody went to their own room, anything like that. We would sit around and just talk. And a couple nights, my dad told us all these random jokes. I mean, ridiculous jokes. I still remember some of them now. I don't remember the whole joke. I remember the punchlines. And it was fun. And I was probably preteen at the time. Those are fun family memories. I didn't require a whole lot, yet it stuck in my brain because we sit around and still talk about that. My family is in town again this weekend. Kenda's on the line right now, which I appreciate. And before this conversation even came up, we weren't even talking about family memories. We were talking about road trips. And my brother said, do you remember when we were driving to California, we got outside of Arizona, and you guys know the mile markers on the highways where it says like 162. We started chanting those until we would see the next one. And we kind of laughed. We don't know how my mom tolerated that, because I would probably make my children stop. After, 5 of them, you're like, okay, I get it, But those are memories we're still retelling. We're grown adults with children. We're retelling stories from our childhood because they were fun. So remember that when you're making memories. Your kids are going to sit around when they're 35 years old and their kids are upstairs playing together, and they're going to go, remember when? And you don't want it to be, remember when mom and dad used to fight on vacation? Like, those aren't the memories you want them to have. So memories work. They're first started in the front of your brain. They stay fresh because it's your short-term memory. If you want it to be a long-term memory, it's got to be important in your life, and your brain will commit it to long-term. But if they're not retold, they will die out. So you need to make sure you keep your memories alive. Your kids may not sit down and talk about them when they're 5 and 6. Make them recall fun things, because it's going to commit to their brain the fun thing. After you do something with your kids or your grandkids, ask them, what was your favorite part of today? And when they're small, it's going to be something pretty tangible. It's going to be something like, oh, it was my favorite part when we went to the gift shop and I bought this. But as they get older, it's going to be a little bit deeper. Like, my favorite part was when we were all like cry laughing at, that person driving next to us dancing in their car. But you need to ask them what the favorite part is, because human instinct is to think of the negative. For some reason, we can be negative so quickly. Anybody can think of something bad that happened. I mean, if I asked you right now to think back to a family trip and think of something bad that happened on a family trip, we're all probably going to remember something pretty easily. But if you stop and you ask your kid, what was your favorite part? It's not going to be them griping about the lines they stood in, the heat outside. It's not going to be any of that. It's going to be fun, something fun, and that's going to commit it to their brain as I liked that kind of day. And remember, as Sister Claire was saying earlier, you know, as women, we tend to plan the events. So take into consideration, this is kind of silly to say this, but the 5 senses when you're planning these things. Songs are going to help your kids remember things. Years down the road, they're going to hear a song and they're going to connect it to a memory they had in childhood without even trying to do that. So if you're in town and you're driving around and you want to put K-Love on, all of that is good music. Okay. I'm not downloading I'm not down talking any kind of Christian radio, but it's the same 5 songs sometimes, right? You're in the car for an hour and you're like, I'm pretty sure I just heard that song. So make playlists. Find something fun your kids can dance along in the car and be silly to that you're going to get with them on as well. I recently downloaded some Disney songs I know from childhood just so I can put them on and we can sing really loud together. And it makes those kind of moments even a little more fun. And then when they hear when they're older, they're going to remember doing that with you. Think of smells that they're smelling. If you have a smell in your home during a certain time of the year, use that every year. So when your kids are older and they're thinking about childhood memories, those smells will bring them back. When I first moved out to San Antonio, I came a year before my parents, and I lived in the apartments at UTSA. And it was fall time, and as soon as that semester was over, I was going back to El Paso to be with my parents for Christmas. So I wasn't going to do anything to my apartment. You know, I didn't have any money. I'm not going to decorate it. But I came home from class one day and it was a kind of weird fall day. You knew it was fall outside. And I walked in my apartment and it didn't look like fall, didn't smell like fall. There was no signs of Christmas coming. So I went to Target and I bought this I kept it for quite a few years, this little tiny orange plant, little fake plant in this little glass thing because it was the only fall thing I could find. And I bought cinnamon sticks because you couldn't have candles. And to me, fall and Christmas is cinnamon. And I put them in my dorm room. So when I walked in after class, it would smell like my childhood home. To me, that is the smell of Christmas. So think about those things when you're doing memories as well. Say it out loud when your kids are young. My kids, the other day recently, Cohen, we put sunscreen on. He said something about liking the smell. And I was like, that's the smell of summer, baby. I want him to remember we went to the pool. It was fun. Those kind of things are interesting to do. So just keep all those in mind when you're planning. Tonight, try to think of something, and maybe you guys can put it on the Dial and Devotion page, a smell, a song, a taste, something that brings you back to your childhood. It'd be interesting to see in Marriage and Family Enrichment the other night, a man in our class said that the smell of summer to him is rain on a hot road. Literally, I've never thought of that. I know what the smell is, but for some reason in his mind, that brings him back to summertime. And so it's kind of neat to see what everyone's different senses bring up. So how to create these memories. Your memories, I'll say it 100 times tonight, have to be fun. You as the woman in your home, whether or not you want the responsibility, you are going to create that mindset for your kids. I'm telling you right now, if you don't sometimes you have to build an event up. You know it's going to be a different kind of event for your kid or an activity for your family. Before you leave, you say, today's going to be fun. I feel like I coach my children for a lot of their reactions. A lot of times I'm like, guys, it's going to be fun today. It's probably going to be a little hot, but it's going to be fun. We're going to see this. We're going to go here. Prep them for those things before you leave your home. Because if they think, well, mom thinks it's fun, they're probably going to react the same way you do. They're going to get there and see the bad, but they're also going to see the fun thing that you talked about them getting to do. Give them an incentive, be like, if you do, once we get through this activity, there's going to be ice cream at the end. So all day they have a little bit of anticipation. It may have to be fun. I will say, I think I said this earlier, but don't let your kids complain. It's awful. I can't stand when you take kids places and they complain. My kids hear it 100 times a day. I am not perfect at this, I promise. But I constantly am stopping my kids going, be grateful. Today's fun. Daddy's off of work. We're out together as a family. This is fun. Be grateful for the moment. And I kind of joke because Cohen is obsessed with Legos. So every activity he does, and he wants it to be like, oh, are we going to go buy a Lego set? And it's like, no, we're going to go to the farmer's market. And it's going to be fun because you're going to get to sample this food. You're going to be with your cousins. You're going to build the activity up. And then when they start to complain, shut it off kind of quick. Don't let it get to that because it's easy. I wish I could pass this around, but I can't. Walmart, I'm sure a lot of outdoor stores, this one looks really raggedy, I apologize, sells these cool towels called cooling towels. It's a pretty easy name to remember. The name brand version is called a Frogget, and the Froggets are a little bit thicker. The cooling towels are $5 cheaper though, and they're big, so that's why mine looks kind of jagged. You can cut them down. So for one of them, you cut it in half and your kids get them. You get them wet before you go. They stay wet for the majority of the day, and they stay cold. They do not get your clothes wet. They're kind of like, if you can imagine a ShamWow, how that feels. I will try to bring this to church next time there, so you guys want to feel it, you can. My kids complain that it's hot. I hand them a cooling towel and a bottle of water. I'm like, here, this will keep you cold. And they love wearing them. They think that they're fun, and, you know, I'm sure it looks – so we brought them to youth camp one year, and that's what reminded me of the ShamWow. One of the youth pastors was like, why are your kids wearing ShamWows around their neck? And I was like, because they're cool and we're outside. Get things like that. Don't let your event become a failure just because you weren't prepared for it. Think about where you're taking your kids and be prepared for those kind of things. If it needs snacks, bring snacks. They're going to need water, bring your fun cooling towels. Do something like that so you can set them up for fun. Before I get into the staycation thing, the last thing I want to say is you are not your child's cruise director, or you can think of it as you're not your child's party planner. What I mean by that is you're not responsible. Sorry, someone said this is good for menopause, and that's probably true. Whoever said it on the chat, sorry, I can't see who said it, but that might be great too. They're multifunctional, y'all. You don't have to have every minute of your kid's day planned out for them. Fun memories happen because they're not the same thing every day. That's when they're going to happen. Cohen took swim lessons about 2 or 3 years ago, and I sat next to one of the dads there who was in the same time slot as me, and I was complaining about the time slot. I don't prefer Mondays for any activity. Sundays are long for us, and then he had an early morning pool lesson, but it was only temporary, and I was like, all right. And I told the dad next to me, I said, I really don't like this time slot. Just in conversation. I'll talk to anybody who sits next to me, so if you don't want to be talked to again, probably don't sit next to me if there's a wait. And he was like, I really like this time spot. He said, my son, now the son is 3, okay? He's so busy already. And I was like, with what? Because this is the only thing we have planned for the week. And he said, well, he's got swim lessons today. He was in a Mother's Day Out program the next day. The following day, he had signed up for some art program. He's just naming it. And he goes, it's sad that my 3-year-old schedule is busier than mine. And don't become that person. I'm telling you, if you think your kids are having fun because you put them in an activity 5 days a week, they are not. They look at it as you put them in an activity 5 days a week. It's okay to send them in the backyard and say, go outside and play and make your own memories. That's okay. Because then when you make the family memories, they will be fun. They'll be different. It's not going to be, oh, mom and dad are dragging me to yet another thing. And if you're stressed out, whether you're the mom or the grandma, your kids are stressed out too. You think they're having fun, they're not. My mom's on the thing right now, so I don't mean this in a negative way, but moms set the tone. I remember being a kid. If my mom was not happy about something, we weren't either, even if we were pretending to be. You know that feeling. So don't set your kids up for that by being so overworked and so busy that your fun memories get lost in stress. So that being said, tonight's point of the lesson is to come up with some fun ideas for you guys to do. And the first one is obvious. You can go out of town. You can take a trip. All of that's good. I don't even want to go into those details because we all know how to take a vacation. The only thing I'm going to say about it is don't take a vacation if you don't have the money. Don't. If you're already have grandchildren and you hear your kids talking about like stressing about where they can go, not that you know your kids' finances necessarily, but just remind them. We need the reminders. Like, your kids will be happy as long as you're with them making fun memories. We work so hard sometimes thinking that our kid needs a certain memory, a certain vacation. I see it. I am on Instagram. I'm connected to people who have taken their children to England for vacation. And that is great. We can't do that. But that doesn't mean Cohen and Patrick are less fortunate than those kids. That's great that they're able to do that. That's not wrong of them to do. But I can't get myself buried in some sort of debt in order to keep up with my friends. I promise you think you're going to do something bigger for them and someone's going to always one-up you. So just do what your family can do and enjoy that and make that fun. And if you're telling your kids to be grateful, we have to be grateful for our trips too. We are fortunate in San Antonio. We live close to big cities. If you need to get out of town, Austin is not far away. We went to Austin one weekend, and it's an hour trip for us to get to the Children's Museum out there. We took our boys. We called it a no day. Give your activities, as cheesy as it sounds. If you have young kids, you can do this. Melinda, if you did this with Jeremiah and Josiah, they might roll their eyes at you. Give them names. Don't say, oh, we're going to the Children's Museum. Always call it something day. Oh, it's zoo day. It's train day. You say it's a day, and for some reason, my children are like, best thing ever. They don't care if you're like, it's grocery store day. And that doesn't always get as big of a reaction, but I will say it's Costco day. And they're like, samples. Like, think of those kind of things. Just make everything in life sound fun. You have to do that for your kids. But we called it a no day. And our no day meant we didn't answer phone calls. We didn't look at text messages. We told everybody else no. And it was time for us to tell our kids yes. And that meant we asked them where they wanted to go to lunch. They wanted to go to Popeyes. We went and got chicken strips from Popeyes. Then we took them to the museum in Austin, and they played all day, and we came home. It didn't cost us a ton because we didn't have to get a hotel. We weren't doing any of that kind of thing. You can get out and do lots of day trips. Corpus may not be the best thing because it's a couple hours away, but Corpus is a day trip easily. You get up early enough in the morning, go to Corpus, hang out with your family, do the aquarium, the boat thing, whatever's out there in Corpus, and then come home late that night, and your kids got out all day and they feel like they left town. Those kind of things are important because leaving the city does make you feel like you're a little bit more refueled. We live pretty close to Green. If you have young children in strollers, though, that's never a good idea. Those stores do not want you in there with strollers. They make it very clear by not giving you any ramps or aisles to push your stuff around. Think about where you're taking your family. Again, don't set them up for failure. Staycations are cool. It's a trendy word now. I don't know how long the word staycation has been around, but I feel like it's a hot word now. If somebody says, what are you guys doing? And everybody asks my kid that. What's your big plan for the summer? And he could be like, we're going mini golfing. And they're going to go, oh, that's great, But if he says, we're having a staycation, everyone's like, oh, cool, staycations. I am a mom of 3 young kids, so staycations appeal to me because I don't have to pack a suitcase. Some of you on here might love packing suitcases, and that just makes your heart happy. It does not make my heart happy. You have to think about clothes. I see Holly shaking her head no. You have to think about how many clothes they need, not just, as adults, you're like 1 per day. Your kid, you're like, well, they're going to spill this. They're probably going to have an accident on the road. My baby needs 45 diapers. And then you get there and you will forget something. And it's going to be something small, but your family will be upset because you forgot toothbrush, the one thing. I kind of laughed because that actually happened on our last trip. Tyler and I had a staycation, but we went and got a hotel in San Antonio. We thought it would be fun. And he packed for himself, and then I packed for us. And I always pack the bathroom stuff. It's just my job. I think that way. I'm like, it's just easy for me to pack the bathroom bag. So I packed it up, and Ryan went with us. So I also had to think of formula, my pump, diapers, all this stuff. And we get there, and Tyler goes, babe, you forgot the toothbrush. And I was like, one thing. I forgot one thing. But you will always forget one thing, and it will always be your fault that you forgot it. We went down to the gift shop and bought very expensive toothbrushes is what we did. And so I hate that. Staycations are wonderful because you don't have to do that. You get to just pack. You don't have to pack unless you have a baby. You just get to go. Okay, and you can plan your staycations differently. You can say, we're going to do one activity every single day for a week, or we're going to cram it all in one day. If you can't take off of work, you can do your staycation at night times. You get off of work and every night go do something fun with your family. You can still make memories regardless of how your schedule is. In San Antonio, we are a big city, so we have a lot going on here. And if anybody listens in they're not from San Antonio, try to put this into your own town. Everybody has a cool area in their town that they don't go to because it's touristy. For us, it's the Riverwalk. Again, some of y'all might visit the Riverwalk frequently. We go maybe once every couple of years, I want to say. Somebody has to be in town for us to go there. It's not very often because we look at it as adults and we're thinking we have to pay for our parking. We have to find an activity. It's going to be full of tourists. It's going to be hot. We're going to say that at least once. It's going to be hot. It's going to be crowded. What are we going to do downtown? I don't need to walk on the river and see restaurants. Like, what's the fun of that? But look at it from your kid's point of view. We went, last summer, some friends of ours came into town and they wanted to meet us for dinner there. And we took our boys. And of course, and I'll be honest, I don't even think the food on the Riverwalk is very good. I feel like we have way better restaurants in other parts of town. But for people out of town, that's a cool place to eat. And we met them there, and our boys were so amused by the water. And they sat there and they waved to all the boats going by. And they thought it was the coolest thing that we were downtown. And we forget that kids see things in a different light than us. We see the crowds and we see all of that, and they see it as that could be fun. So every once in a while, go downtown. It does feel like you're getting away from the city a little bit. Go downtown and play tourist. Go look for things you don't normally think of doing. There's a riverboat cruise that we did as kids. My grandfather came to visit us in Fort Hood. We drove up to down to San Antonio. I don't know the direction. We drove to San Antonio, and he took us on a riverboat cruise, and it was cool because we're from out of town. But once we've moved here, we've never done that riverboat cruise again, ever. Except a couple years ago, we took Cohen and Patrick down, and maybe Mila, I don't even remember. We took them downtown, and the riverboat went by, and Cohen wanted to ride it. So my mom being a grandmother, me being the mom, I'm saying, no, we're not riding that. Like, that's for tourists, Cohen. We don't need to get on that. My mom being the grandmother was like, we should take him. So we get on, and that kid had the best time because he looked at it as, I'm on a boat ride. Like, this is neat. I'm on a boat. He's like waving to the people eating at restaurants. I even got caught up and started having fun. I have my big camera out. I'm taking pictures of buildings that I have seen. I don't even care about. It's a hotel. I'm like, oh, look at that pretty hotel. Look, it's River Center Mall. Like, you look at it from a kid's point of view and you get a fresh vision of that. So every once in a while, play tourist. If you don't want to go downtown, pick a part of San Antonio and pretend like you haven't been there and go explore it. We do have amusement parks in San Antonio. So those are always a good day time thing. And look for deals on them. The Coke cans have them. Restaurants will give you discounts. And somebody was mentioning to me the other night in our marriage and family enrichment class, season passes. If you're going to live here and you are a big amusement park family, get the passes. It's worth it. Because then you can go for an hour, well, probably more than an hour, a couple hours. And if you don't want to stay, you can leave and you don't feel like, well, we just paid all this money to get here. You're not obligated to stay. We did SeaWorld season passes a few years ago. And after dinner, we would be like, hey, you want to go to SeaWorld? We didn't have to buy food because we already ate at home. Those kind of things. Look at where you can cut that. But all those things cost. So you need to find, if you're doing it on a budget, find things. It doesn't have to be an amusement park. You can do things. There is one for sure, mini golf place here. I know there's got to be more than one. I've only found one decent one in San Antonio, and that is Embassy. I believe it's Embassy Oaks is the name of it. Super fun little place. Take your kids to mini golfing. We have a lot of art museums not just downtown, but throughout the city. And museums don't always seem like a fun choice, but for some reason, you will find random things in museums, and it's great. On one of our anniversary trips, Tyler and I went to Dallas, and everything was closed. Every single thing we planned, we got there, and it was closed because it was Memorial Day weekend, and we didn't realize that the entire city shut down for that. But all the museums were open, and they were all free. So we did a museum hop, or whatever you want to call it, museum visit, and we went to we went to Chinese culture. We went to a sculpture garden. We went to one that had holes. It was postcards, and someone used a hole puncher and just punched holes into them and then put it on a display. I literally don't know what the art was. We had so much fun doing that. And your kids would enjoy it too. We think of museums as, a bunch of don't touch this. But there's more to those things, and we have really cool ones. The Whitty Museum is great for families, and on Tuesdays after 2 o'clock, it is free to get into. The special exhibits are not free. You have to pay to get into those. But for the most part, you can walk around the regular museum, and they have the big tree house in the back for the kids. If you have young kids, the McKenna Museum in New Braunfels is the best place to take them. It is $7.50 to get in. I'm not I know I sound like a salesperson right now. I'm just telling you, we have young kids, so it's wonderful. $7.50 to get into. It's all day pass, so you can leave and go eat lunch somewhere and come back. You can bring your lunch and eat it right outside the museum area. It's indoors, so it's air conditioned. It's a giant playground for kids initially. There's a grocery store, a bank, outdoor water play. It's super cool. And I don't know at what age they outgrow that, but right now my kids are still in that space. So look for those kind of things in town that aren't going to necessarily be, we think of vacation and we think we have to go do Six Flags. There are little things in town you can do too. we haven't personally done this, but one thing I really want to do before Cohen starts school is an ice cream shop tour. We have cool ice cream shops in San Antonio, really different ones. I want to take him, we can't do it in one day, but pick a week. And every night that week after dinner, we go to a different ice cream store. I just think it would be super fun. We have one we're actually visiting this week where I think it's called Sub-Zero Ice Cream. And it's basically the liquid ice cream. I don't know if you guys, if you've been there, you want to raise your hand visually on the screen. It's cool, right, Sally? Everything I've watched on YouTube about this place, I need to go here because they freeze the ice cream right in front of you. And those kind of things, if you do that for me and do a trick, I want to go. Find the place. It's Amy's Ice Cream in the Quarry. We'll throw the ice cream in the air. Kids love that kind of stuff. There's, here in Cibolo area, there's a ice cream store attached. It's called The Mill, The Scoop at the Mill. And it's attached to a market full of handmade goods. It's all handmade. It's like Pinterest come to life in there. It's neat. There's really cool places like that. So just doing something like that with your kids, they'll remember those things. I'm going to stop right here and just say, speaking of ice cream, don't gauge your kid's reaction. Don't let that ruin your activity. Your kid is not going to always give you the reaction you were hoping for. Give them time to grow into the idea. And my boys always ask to go get ice cream. And usually the answer is no. I mean, it's a random, it'll be like Wednesday, 8 o'clock at night. And they're like, can we go get ice cream? And we're like, no, it's bedtime. So one day we thought it'd be fun to surprise them. And we ate dinner. We kept telling them all to dinner, you hurry up and eat. We've got a fun surprise. We've got a fun surprise. And dinner was over and they're like, okay, what's our surprise? And me and Tyler were like, we're going to go get ice cream. And literally, Cohen and Patrick, my kids who get excited about, little things in life usually, they were like, oh. I had to stop myself because internally I wanted to go, fine. You know what? You don't want to get ice cream? I don't want to go either. I'm not going to go. You weren't excited. You ruined the night. Once we got there, they got to pick they saw the ice cream. They got to pick it. They ended up having a really fun night. And Cohen was like, that was fun going to get ice cream. So I'm just saying right now, if you go up to your kid and go, we're going to go to museums. And they're like, nah. I'm like, don't cancel your night. Don't cancel your day over it. If you're my personality, that does hurt your feelings. And you're like, fine. I don't want you to go anyways. There are other free things in town you can do. We are surrounded, again, San Antonio is a great city for families. We have tons of cool parks. We have so many parks that I saw a lady, I followed her blog, San Antonio Mom Blogs. They had to visit, part of her campaign, she was doing 20 different parks in the summer. She got to choose 20 different parks, which means we have more than 20 parks in our area, in San Antonio and surrounding areas, that you could spend the day at easily. What I like about parks is that they open up your kid's mind, okay? You go to Six Flags and they're telling you, you're going to have fun because you're riding this ride, or it's fun because you saw this character. You go play mini golf and it's fun because here's an activity. You go to a park and you're telling your kids, you go create your fun. You can create it with them, but it's a little more imaginative. And sometimes as moms, we want to break, so you can also make them go play. And you get to sit. Pack a picnic. Doesn't have to be fancy. We do like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because they can sit out longer. And I joke about this. My children are notorious for taking a bite of food and running off. And we've taken ham and cheese, and flies get into it. And then it's been sitting out for like 2 hours. I throw it away, and I'm telling you, my kids will cry their eyes out because the ham and cheese sandwich they were not going to eat ever is now out of their sight, and they're just heartbroken. I have considered only bringing snacks to the park for that reason. Just take food. It doesn't have to be fancy food. Go after dinner so you're not bringing food. Make sure you have water and, cooling towels. Be careful of the heat, of course. But find a park and go to a different park every time. There's parks that have playgrounds attached. There's some that are just open fields. We found one not far from us, actually, down the road on FM 78. And I think it's called Nimitz. I'm not sure if exactly how you say it. But it's a playground, and next to the playground is a giant soccer field. Next to the giant soccer field is a baseball area. It's tiny, and it's never crowded unless it's a half day at school time, but it's rarely crowded, and it's fun. Find a park that your family likes and go to it, or make it a goal to every weekend go to a different park. That will cost you no money, and it's going to be making memories. We packed up our kids one day. My parents came, my sister and Mila came, and we played t-ball. Not baseball. We played t-ball at the park with them, and it was fun. It was good memories we made. just by having a little small informal game. And by informal, if you are a rule follower like me, that means they will not follow the rules at all. Informal means one kid is going to hit more than they should. You know, you have your loose rules. You're like, no, you're out. And they're still running in circles, you know, counting points that they should never had. Have fun. Don't get wrapped up so much in the rules. That's something I tell myself every time I play a game with my children. They're 3 and 6. One day they'll get rules. And then the last one that you can do, it doesn't require you to leave home. If you're a grandparent, you can do this as well. Buy a toy or buy a game. If your kids are older, buy a game. If your kids are younger, buy a toy that cannot be used for anything except family time. So I can't demonstrate it on here very well, so I'm not going to try. Our family has something called Stomp Rockets, and it's literally what it sounds like. It's a little tube, and you put this little foam. It looks like a Nerf bullet almost, but it's a rocket. Put it on there, and it's got an air-filled container, and you stomp on it really hard, and the Stomp Rocket flies into the air. We started that. The kids could only play it with us because it would go over our back fence, and our fence backs up into a main road, so they can't go out there and get it. So they had to be kind of a family-controlled activity to make sure that they were aiming it the correct way so that it wouldn't fly everywhere. But it's become a family game. No one can play it unless all the family is together. Sometimes we take it to the park with us. We have in our community a little basketball hoop area, basketball court, and we'll take it down there and stomp them. We make up games with it, like how far can you run? And you have to like silly run and then stomp on it, or, you know, who's going to hit it the farthest. We've done so many ridiculous things with this, and this is probably 2 years old. The box is destroyed. We still have all the Stomp Rockets. If you have an iPhone, you have the slow-mo camera on there. Y'all do slow-mo with anything with your kids, and it instantly becomes the most fun ever. There's another app. If you don't use it, you should download it. It's called Boomerang. If you have kids, making boomerang videos. Have you guys all seen those? If you not, or they're like 4-second videos of a kid, and let's just say they're like, I'm going to be a boomerang for a second. If your kid was like smiling going, right, the app will make it look like they're going. Like, it's silly, but it makes everything look fun. So we'll do the Stomp Rockets with the Boomerang app. So it looks like the rocket's going back onto the thing, you know, coming on and off, on and off. It's ridiculous. Buy a game that your kids can't play. Your grandkids can't play unless you're playing with them. And it automatically becomes something special and a fun memory at home. It's hot in San Antonio, so utilize water. I used the sprinkler the other day in our slide outside, and I made a water slide for the kids. I basically, no joke, held the sprinkler over the slide and told the kids they had to try to slide underneath the water, which you can't do because it's going to fall on them. But my kids tried and tried and tried, and we called it a mini water park. We thought of a plot on Tyler was inside the house eating a snack. He just got home from work, and we're like, oh, this is how we're going to sneak up on Daddy and soak him as soon as he gets out here. We set up a little like battle area of who's going to get him first. Tyler ruined our plan though because he came outside. He knew we were going to do it. So he took my phone, which was brand new, and walked outside, and he was like, hey guys, and like held it in front of him so we wouldn't squirt him. If I would have realized the iPhone was waterproof, I would have still gone for it. But make those kind of games with your kids. If you do those kind of memories, you can do all sorts of little things with them like that. They will feel like a family memory, and they are a family memory, but they don't require you to go anywhere, and they cost absolutely nothing. Other ideas they have for other night in marriage and family enrichment is one guy, if your kids are old enough to drive, this is really cool. He takes his daughter like to car lots, and they test drive cars together. Like, I have never heard of doing that for a fun. We did it when we were dating, but I think we thought we were one day going to buy these cars. But he lets his teenage daughter say what kind of car she wants to drive, and he takes her to the car lot. Like, that is a cool idea. She's going to grow up always remembering that was time with her dad is taking out cars. If you live near Universal City, they always have things going on Saturdays that are very inexpensive for families to do together. There's lots of, I feel like in our area, we have tons of activities. What I would like to do is ask you guys there's not very many people on the call. So I feel like the majority of us could probably give an idea of something you've done with your family or something you want to do with your family, anything like that you guys can share. So I don't know if Sister Crothers wants to, you don't have to, I guess there's not very many people. If you want to just speak up, you can. Veronica Beach says that they read. That's really cool. Going to the library, do library days. Shirts Public Library. So I'm sure San Antonio library is even bigger, so it's got more. Schertz Public Library has a ton of stuff going on there all the time. They've got like mini golf day. They've got a Lego club. And these are all on Saturdays. And they don't cost anything. You take your kids and you're creating memories. So anybody else? Trying to see.
Sister Ashley?
Yes.
I was just going to mention that this Thursday at the Orange Leaf at Bulverde Market, they have their $5 Stuff Your Cup for $5. So for anybody that's interested, that's this Thursday all day.
And it's any size cup?
I think they just have one size now.
Okay,
and, they normally weigh it.
Oh,
but
okay.
It's $5 no matter how much you put in it.
Very cool. That's this Thursday?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm writing it down on my phone right now. Anybody else have ideas? Holly.
I have one. We have what is called cooking night. The kids pick out their own meal and they cook it for us, or we help them and show them how to cook. Or they'll say, "Hey, Mom, can you make mashed potatoes?" And I'll make this, and the other one will make this. It just goes in a circle. All of them get a chance to cook in the kitchen.
That's cool because you're teaching them too, without realizing it. They don't realize it's a life lesson. They're learning to cook, but they're also going to remember growing up.
It's a lot of fun, especially when they make messes. We make it fun.
Very cool. Anybody else? Melinda.
We go camping, which is not really a lot, and there's a lot of parks nearby. Kerrville has a real nice park that you can set up a tent, and it's cheap, and they've got an area where you can I think they rent canoes or something by the hour or whatever. So that's always, and then just driving through the hill country, we like doing that. I don't know about Josiah, but but that's always nice, going in different trails and things like that.
Tamara has her hand raised. Tamara.
A couple things I wanted to say. The first is when my kids were little, we made every holiday special, even if it's Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day. I would go to the Party City. I would get those little 10-cent plastic cups. I would fill it with pencils and erasers and candy. And Russell would pick them up from school, and he would meet us at the Hungry Howie's Pizza. And the kids to this day still talk about all the cheap stuff that we did for them, including making chores fun. A couple years back, my daughter told me that she never realized until just recently that when they were in the bathtub stomping on clothes, they were doing the laundry. She thought they were it was just dance time in the tub, and I didn't want to slip, so they were just stomping on the laundry.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. I agree with that. Making holidays a big deal. We for birthdays, we have my kids go to bed that night. I decorate their chair that they always sit in at the table. I decorate. It's probably the same every year almost, but they get excited waking up in the morning to see their birthday chair made. Those kind of things are cool to do. Yes, Sister Crothers.
I think one of the things that I don't know if I enjoyed it more or if my children enjoyed it more. I guess you would have to ask them. But we always did a back to school, what we called a back to school party on their first day of school. And when you said what you did for your birthdays for the children, that's what triggered that memory for me, is because every first day of school, not just the first day of first grade or kindergarten, but their first day of school, even up until Ashley's day that she got married. I did it even on the day she got married. I decorated the kitchen. I put streamers up. I did balloons. And we always did that for their first day back to school. And then I always asked them, and it was not a surprise. They knew that they would be getting that. And I always asked them, what do you want me to fix you for breakfast? And we always made it a special breakfast for their first day of school. And that was just something that we all, I did it for every year. So it was a fun thing.
I like that. I want to do that for Cohen this year now that you said that.
It's fun. It's like you said, it's not usually anything different. It's usually, a matter of fact, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to the craft room drawer and pulled out that little piece of streamer that was about that big, that's all tattered up. And it's, it's 11 o'clock on a Sunday night. And I'm like, okay, I got to decorate this kitchen so it's decorated for the morning. But they don't know, it's decorated. They're excited that you did something special to make their first day special.
We've taken a tradition that's part of the Mexican culture and brought it into our own family. And that's when we have get-togethers, our barbecues, of course, but we play Mexican bingo. Now, in a traditional Mexican family, you'll play with money, but we changed it and we have everyone bring Dollar Tree gifts. And it's so much fun that even our friends have started doing the same thing, or when we have the get-togethers, are asking us to do the Mexican bingo. Fun about that is that the cards are in Spanish, so you have to call the cards in Spanish, and usually the kids don't speak Spanish, but if they have to learn the words, and if they win, they have to say all the words before they can get the prize. So you're teaching as well, and why they have those pictures, we don't know, but it's fun. So that's one of our family memories that doesn't cost anything.
I think one of the things that I've really taken away from what Ashley has said at the devotion tonight, and as she mentioned, she shared this on Thursday night last week in our marriage and family enrichment class, is we have our family nights that we get our family all together. And as you all know, on our family nights that we have, one of the biggest rules that we have at family night is we do not talk. We eat, sleep, and breathe church. I mean, it's just, it's our life. It's everything about us. But on family night, we don't talk church. We don't talk, what do you need to do at church? How is this going at church? What do you think about this at church? No, none of that happens. But as I've taken away from what Ashley has said, I really am inspired. Thank you for your suggestions, because I'm really inspired to give our family nights a theme, an idea, a vision, because like I even noticed like tonight when we come together for a theme, okay, it's a pizza party and baby swim night. Well, everybody came together and was excited about doing pizza party and baby swim. Instead of just coming together and eat and then we go home. So I have found that I really appreciate the things that you've said, because I'm going to do a theme when we try to get together. Anybody else?
Talking about staycations, one year, and it wasn't all that long ago, Nathan was already a teenager, but we were supposed to come to San Antonio from Houston. And I think it was around one of the holidays, either Labor Day or Memorial Day or something. And something happened in our plans that we didn't get to come. I think our dog sitter fell through or whatever. We just couldn't come. So we decided to have a staycation. And that was one of the most memorable and fun vacations we had. And of course, Nathan was old enough that at first I thought he's not going to like this because, we live here. But we did it over the whole weekend, because we went to the downtown aquarium one night, and then we went to the dinosaur museum, the natural science museum one day, and we just did stuff, and we didn't spend near the money we would have spent on our planned vacation to San Antonio, and we got to go home and spend the night in our own bed. But it was really fun, and there's more to do really in San Antonio than there was in Houston. But that was truly one of our more memorable vacations, and we stayed at home.
There's so much to do. It's just taking the time and creating the plan, making the plan. Thank you, Ashley, for sharing your heart with us tonight and letting us inside some of your family memories and ideas. I really do appreciate it. And I want to encourage all of you ladies that are on the call tonight and those that will listen to the YouTube later on, I encourage you to uh, make plans and make special times for your families. And I really like what Ashley said when she just emphasizes what, kind of looking back on what you did, what was your favorite part of today? What did you enjoy most about today? Because just like she said, we can always find what we didn't like. It was hot. It was sticky. It was, whatever. But that kind of just solidifies the positive in your mind. And as we conclude tonight, I want to remind all of us as ladies that we set the temperature in our home. We set things for if people are happy around us or if there's turmoil around us. And I learned a long time ago that my children react to how I respond. So if, just like Ashley said, I get up and I say, it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a Costco party day. Well, they just expect it's going to be a happy Costco party day. But if I got up and I said, I'm sick and tired of this hot weather, we've got to go to Costco, get your tail in the car and buckle up the seatbelt, well, then, they respond they react the way I respond. Okay. And that's so true. And we're all, we're all human and we can all fall into that. But just check yourself. And if you're not getting, don't take this the wrong way, because this isn't always the case. But if you're not getting the response you want from those around you, evaluate what you're portraying, because maybe we need to change what we're portraying to obtain a different response from those around us. So I want to encourage you to evaluate that. Thank you, Ashley, for what you shared tonight with us. I appreciate it very much. Does anybody else have anything they want to share?
I'm asking a prayer request. I would like for us to really, really pray for our young people this week.
Yes.
They go to NAYC. We just want them to be just blessed beyond measure, receive their callings,
Amen,
direction in their life, and come back anointed and ready to win other teenagers.
amen. I'm so excited. We're right on the verge of going into our new church, and oh my goodness, such great services. Both services yesterday.